What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be getting into the 2021 our third NFL power rankings, I believe, maybe fourth. Not quite sure, but with the NBA 2021-2022, big week for a lot of these teams. And actually a lot of movements this week that you're going to see with some of these teams stepping up and some of these teams not having good weeks. So we're going to start out into the two worst teams. Just like last week, I put these teams together at the same time, and I'm going to do that again. Starting out with number 3, the Detroit Pistons, if I can find them. And number 29, the Houston Rockets, both dropping down 2 spots and both dropping into the trash tier. The only two teams, in the trash tier this season, and the two picks early on in the draft. So clearly things aren't working out for these two teams. Rockets 1-9 to start out the year. Pistons 1-8. Basically everything applies for both these teams. The reason I like the Rockets more is just because I think this team has a better system around Green than Cunningham for the Pistons, but both these teams are just very bad, as we can see throughout the first week in the NFL. There's only one other team that's not in this tier that's a one-loss team, and that's going to be right here in this bad tier, with the Pelicans dropping down 3 spots. Whoops, what the? Pelicans. Where are they? Sorry. There you go. So, clearly, without Zion Williamson, this is a team that has a lot of problems, and this is just very bad work by New Orleans, because you had a superstar player that's going to be a superstar player in the future in Zion Williamson, and you've done nothing to improve this roster and make your team a good team. And now Zion Williamson's going to be gone, and you're going to be right back at the position you were when you traded AD away. So, very bad work from the Pelicans. Don't like what they're doing over there, and it's coming back to bite them. They're 1-10. They're not in that conversation at the moment, and Zion Williamson's going to have to play very much hero ball to make this team back into the conversation. But enough with the Pelicans. Number 27 will be the Orlando Magic, jumping out of that trash tier, up by 2, 3-8, getting a huge win on Sunday. And this Magic team at 3-8 is looking like one of these bad teams. They're a scrappy team. They're not a trash team because they just upset. And I think if you could prove that you could be able to upset some teams, then you're good. I mean, they had a very solid week. As you see, they were 1-6 entering into the week, and they've moved on to 2-1 this previous 2-2, this week. Very impressive from the Magic. Right there, another team jumping out of the trash tier is the Thunder at 3-8 as well. Two difficult teams. I don't know which one I would bring over the other, but the Thunder at 3-8, jumping up 4 spots, 1-5, as you see. For the last week, went 2-3, which is good for the Thunder. And this team looking like one of those bad teams. They pulled off upsets this year, and it's proven that they can be a team that can pull off a lot of just random upsets. So that'll round out the bad tier as we get rid of those 5 teams that are just atrocious to watch. So there's always those 5 teams, at least, in the NBA. They're just like, oh, those are the worst teams. But other than that, there's these next 5 teams in the hunt tier are teams that I could legitimately see making the play-in tournament and having a chance to be in the playoffs when playoff time arrives. So starting out with number 25, the Pacers jumping up a spot. Indiana at 4-7. Definitely figured out some things from last week. They went 3-1, which is pretty impressive from Indiana, and I thought this is uncharacteristic by the Pacers when they're 1-6. They're usually a team that's scrappy. That's a team that's a play-in tournament team at least. I don't see the Pacers not being in that contention, and they figured things out this game, and that's what the Pacers are doing right there. You might be saying, well, the Pacers only jumped up by 1. That's not that much. Well, the Pacers jumped out of a whole tier as they were in the bad tier last week, and I have many respect for them. That's why they are in the hunt tier. But there was also a lot of good performances from some other teams that you gotta recognize. All right, moving on to number number 24. I've just spaced out. Timberwolves dropping down 4 spots. Classic Timberwolves. I mean, guess what their record was the previous week? 3-2. They were looking very good in that play-in tournament conversation, as I thought. And then guess what happened? They dropped down. They went 0-4 this week and dropped down 4 spots. Just very Timberwolves type team. They're very inconsistent. I don't think that them being that inconsistent is not going to be enough for them to make the play-in tournament. I think they're definitely in the conversation. They have the talent. They're just too inconsistent at the moment. So, yeah, Timberwolves dropping down 4 spots, and then the Spurs jumping up a spot from the previous week. The San Antonio Spurs, not a good week for them. 1-3. But dropping down a spot, you look at San Antonio, and this is a very well-coached team. This is a team that I don't see them at any point in the season not being in that conversation for the play-in tournament. I think they will be by the end of the year, but just not a good week. Went through a rough stretch and will be dropping down a spot. And then moving on to number 22, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Shocking how the start to this year has gone for Cleveland. They are 7-4 right now, went 4-0 this week. And Cleveland, they are in that playoff fest at the moment. Clearly a ton more basketball to go. We're only in November. But Cleveland, you got to respect what they did with this week. Went 4-0. And that's why they're going to be in the play-in tournament tier. Do I think that this... Oh, they're jumping up 2. I don't know if I mentioned that or if I said the wrong number, but you got to respect what Cleveland has been able to do. That's why they are in the number 22 spot. And then moving on to number 21, the Raptors going to be staying at that same spot. Toronto, another one of these teams where you look at San Antonio and Indiana, where this team's just very well coached, and I just don't see him not being in that conversation to make the play-in tournament by the end of the year, as they're 6-5 to start out the year, staying at the same spot. Had a decent week. Went 2-2, so just an average week, what I expected from this Raptors team. So yeah, Raptors staying at number 21. All right, and then a huge drop. We're going to have 2 teams that dropped down a ton from this week. That's going to start out with the Charlotte Hornets, dropping down 7 spots. This also has to do with some of these other teams climbing up spots and playing good basketball. But the Charlotte Hornets, man, oh man, ouch for Charlotte. I mean, did not play good basketball this week. Went 0-4. And after coming off a week where I was starting to praise the Eastern Conference, it's not looking like that now. Just very bad week, very bad performance. It actually went 0-5. So that's even worse for the Charlotte Hornets team. But hopefully they'll be able to turn around. They're number 20 right now. This is about where I thought that they could be at the beginning of the season, as that 10 seed in the Eastern Conference. I thought they'd be higher. But right now, not looking good for Charlotte. Then number 19, who, even though they're not dropping down as much, very much more disappointing, the Atlanta Hawks. They are 4-7 right now. I repeat, 4-7. I don't know what in the world is going on. They were 3-3 entering into the week. They're 1-3, so didn't have that bad. I mean, had a bad week, but not that bad. But just Trae Young is looking just straight up bad. I mean, this team just is not looking like the team that we saw in the playoffs last year, and it's clearly showing it on the court. And this team has to figure out what's happening. Trae Young, the new rule change is clearly biting him, and he's got to figure out a way to be a superstar and work around it. So Hawks not looking good at number 19. And then number 18, the Sacramento Kings jumping a spot mainly due to the Hawks and the Hornets dropping down a ton. And the Kings, 5-6. Very impressive and a very, scrappy type team, and that number 10 team in the the West, and they went 2-3 this week. So not bad, but the Kings, really what I thought they were entering to the week. In Boston, number 17 jumping up a spot. Again, mainly due to the Hawks and the Hornets struggling. 4-6, just hanging around there. But I'm expecting Boston to start to pick up things soon and be more of that team, like that 7 seed at least, that I thought that they could be. Because that's not looking too good right now. Number 16, the Washington Wizards, staying at the same spot. Washington had a 2-2 week, so that really just justifies you staying a spot. Would have dropped if it wasn't really for the Hawks and the Hornets, but Washington just staying at the same spot, about the same team that I thought entering into the week. And then our first playoff team off the board will be the New York Knicks, dropping down 7 spots, 7-4, and the Knicks, man. It's not that they had a bad week. They were 5-1 entering into the week, and now they went 2-3. I just had them too high, I think, last week, and plus, I don't trust the Knicks. I just don't trust this organization, this team in general, to be, a good team again this year. And I think that they're going to struggle. They're a 6 seed, though, and with Kemba Walker on the roster makes them better, but the Hawks at 7-4, I think that's just perfect for them. Right there at number 15. And then we're starting to get into the Western Conference teams coming off the board besides the Kings. Number 14, the Grizzlies, jumping up 3 spots. Had them lower due to the East playing better last week and because of just all this stuff happening right now. The Grizzlies, Ja Morant doing his thing, 6-4. I think they'll be the 9th seed again, but this is a very good team that I could definitely see making the playoffs for the second straight year. Then the Trailblazers at number 13, jumping up 2 spots. Portland, 5-5. Didn't have a good week, but the East struggled a little bit this week. So Boston, that justifies them for jumping up too. Trailblazers, but Damian Lillard, still the same thing that I thought this team was entering into the week. And then number 12, the Clippers jump up 11 spots, winning 4 straight. This is the Clippers team that I thought entered into the year, and this is the Clippers team that showed it entering into the year, going 4-0 this week and making their record back at 5-4. This is the 7th seed, I think, in the Western Conference, with Paul George getting the work done this week, and a huge week for LA to bounce back from this very much struggling start, going 1-4 to start out the year and jumping up 11 spots. I also think I had them too low at number 23, but they were struggling, so it really justifies it. But very impressive work from the Clippers. And now we're done with that play-in tournament. Oh, wait, no, oops, I put these teams in the playoffs, sorry. They're still in that play-in tier. That justifies that ends the play-in tournament tier, and we'll continue with the playoff tier at number 11. The Lakers kind of hanging around this spot, 12, 11, 10 through these weeks, jumping up a spot at 6-5, about where I think this team is. Russell Westbrook starting to get the hang of this, but not ready to move this team up too much. I need to find some more consistency. So they'll be numbered 11. What a week from this number 10 team, the Dallas Mavericks. Going, let's see, what did they go? 3-1 this week, so very impressive from Dallas as they jump up a spot. You also had some but Dallas, very impressive from them, as I think that they deserve that number 10 spot. Again, though, it's a very tough, these next few rankings, for me to move on up too high. So they'll stay at number 10. And then number 9, I have the 76ers staying at the same spot again this week. They're the top in the East. Not saying that this is a bad team, but with only Joel Embiid, I don't think he can carry this team to be a contender. So at number 9, good impressive wins though for this team as Joel Embiid's out right there. And then number 8, the Heat dropping down a spot. What a fire start for this Heat team, who lost 2 games this week. Still a team that I think is good. That's why they'll only drop down a spot. Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry are still those players for this team. Sorry. But now we're moving into that contender tier, back into this tier where we have a new addition. 2 new additions actually into this tier, so starting to spread out this contender tier. That's going to start out with number 7, jumping up 2 spots. Dropping down 2 spots, the Denver Nuggets. A lot of things happened. Denver did have a bad week, went 2-2, but some of these other teams were very impressive, so that's why they only stay at number 7. And then number 6, the Bucks and Milwaukee. I don't know what's going on with this team right now. Dropping down 3 spots at 4-6. Just not looking good for the Milwaukee Bucks. Are trying to get the hang of things. But I still think this is a contender. But 4-6, definitely the worst record. You have to go all the way down to number 17 to see a record like this for the Bucks. But I do think they'll pick it up soon. But they're starting to drop more and more as they keep struggling. And then number 5, the Bulls, dropping down 1, didn't have as good of a week as they did last week, but still that number 5 team, I think, a very good contender team with that roster. Then number 4, the Phoenix Suns. This was a huge week for the Suns to bounce back, jumping up 6, by the way, guys. Suns were very much struggling at 2-3, and they really dominated this week, going 4-0, and that's what you want to see from the Phoenix Suns, and this is the team that you knew from last year starting to get back to the things, and that's why they're number 4. Then number 3, the Nets dropping down a spot, had another productive week. They were 4-3, went 3-1, but really because of one of these teams rising a ton makes that tier. And then the Jazz losing 2 straight is going to drop down to number 2. 7-3, still trust Utah, but disappointing 2 games. But then this team that I've been waiting to talk about, the Golden State Warriors, I don't know how this team can escape from being a contender besides from the past couple of years. Steph Curry right back in that tier. I think he is definitely the MVP to start out the year. I think he'll win it. And the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry carrying this team, and this team is good all around. And they're just playing like the number 1 team, though. The only team with 1 loss remaining. There's a ton of teams with 3 losses, with 4 losses. But the Warriors are really, just separating themselves from all these other teams. We'll see, though. It's very tight between the Warriors, Jazz, and Nets right there. Those 2 teams, those 3 teams could always switch around. But the Warriors right now, that number 1 team. So anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Hope you all enjoyed the content. Please like and subscribe if you like NBA content. I'll keep getting these power rankings out to you guys. But anyway, peace out.